Hi, welcome to the Mid Market CFO Circle. On this particular initiative of Open Office, we talk about the common areas of improvement that CFOs need to focus on. And for that reason, today I have with me Vishal Mishra, who's working in the digital transformation consultancy team at HighRadius. And we are going to talk about how mid-market CFOs can fix revenue leakages while they enhance their order to cash cycle. So, hi Vishal, welcome to the show. Would you like to say hi to our listeners and introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Vishal Mishra and I work as a digital transformation consultant at HighRadius. I come with over 14 plus years of experience driving consulting and advisory services with different companies on digital transformation for order to cash and procure to pay across multiple industries. I have worked with some of the leading ITES and BPO companies like Wipro, Infosys, and WNS.
Great. Thank you for taking time and having this really important discussion with us. And especially with your background, I feel, Vishal, that you can help
Mhm.
us understand what are the reasons that CFOs should be looking at revenue leakages from AR perspective, and how
Mhm.
can they stop it while they enhance their productivity at the same time. So, to get started, my very first question to you is what is revenue leakage and how can a CFO's office find indicators for it?
Well, as the name suggests, revenue leakage is something that impacts your bottom line, right? While you earn revenues by doing your day to day activities, one of the important part of that is getting your money on time, and accounts receivable form a very important cog in this entire machinery. Revenue leakage happens when your AR processes are broken or have a lot of manual touch points, and there are different indicators that a CFO should look at when it comes to improving, right? It could be what is my DSO, what is the average days that my customers are taking to pay me, what is the total amount of accounts receivable which is stuck in some kind of disputes or deductions in place. Once I have a real time to near real time visibility around it, I will be in a much better position to understand and try and prevent the revenue leakage from happening.
And if we talk about what are the common causes of revenue leakages that are often ignored, mistakenly or, you know, not really consciously from in a CFO's office from AR
Mhm.
perspective, then what would those be?
Multiple, I would say. It starts with your credit policy itself.
Mhm.
uh, if your credit policy when you onboard a customer is not robust enough and it is not scientific, it may lead to a lot of ambiguity and mistakes when you onboard a customer and you end up giving a more credit to your customers, which exposes your credit in terms of an organization. Apart from that, it also depends upon how as and when every company is moving towards digitization. So if you have a process which is pretty manual in nature, which in turn gives you a poor productivity, you are doing less with more resources, and that costs, right? Unbilled revenue, what unbilled revenue means basically is I have rendered the services or have delivered the goods to my customers, and I have not even billed my revenue to them. And unless and until I bill, I don't get the money, which means I have incurred a cost, but I am not in a position to collect that money from my customers, right? And there is a cost of capital which is getting impacted here. Even if I bill my customers on time and I have an agreed payment term with them, there are a lot of customers want to gain an advantage when it comes to their working capital, and they will make late payments. If I do not have a robust policy around it, that will also impact my revenue. Finally, as I said, a lot of amount which is stuck in disputes with my customers. So I think that the customer will pay me, but that there is a dispute, and by the time that dispute gets resolved, I have already lost a lot of time, and that is how my revenue gets impacted here.
So, from this, I understand that entire O2C cycle, there are so many points at which, if CFOs are relying on manual processes which are broken, and there is limited internal collaboration, and there is not efficient customer interaction or customer communication, that is compromising the entire process of accounts receivable, and along with it, it's costing the company revenue leakage. So what would you say are the right steps that a CFO can take to reduce these revenue leakages?
I think it starts with visibility. As I said, at a CFO level, sometimes the CFO is not even aware of what is going wrong with his order to cash processes. So having a real time or near to real time visibility on the key AR metrics that dent your revenue, such as average days delinquent, days deduction outstanding, days to post, hit rate. When you have clarity and if you have visibility around how some of these metrics are performing, you are in a much better position to understand where the pain points are and drive towards achieving optimization or efficiency in some of these areas, right? Once you do that, the second most important point that a CFO can do to decrease revenue leakage is enable digital touchpoints, right? When you have a digital touch point with your customers and you enable them to make you electronic payments, you get away with check payments, which causes a lot of delay. A customer sends you a check physically and you scan it and you put it in the bank. It takes 2 to 3 days to get cleared. You lose a lot of money in that time period. Also, sending invoices electronically. If today you are sending a lot of invoices through print and mail, the lead time that it is taking for you to send the invoices and for the customer to receive and process it, you lose a lot of time there also. So enabling digital collaboration with your customer is also very important. A couple of other things that a CFO can do is, for example, proactive collection strategies, right? If you are able to categorize your customers into critical and high risk, if you can categorize your entire receivables into aging and current, if you can understand and predict the payment behavior of your customer, and if you can create your collection strategies around it, that also becomes pretty useful. Automating some of the rule-based processes like cash application, sending dunning notices, credit application helps. And then, with some of the leading technologies like AI ML, you can use some of those algorithms to manage some complex exceptions as well, right? Predicting the payment behavior, validating the dispute of the customer, and doing a real-time credit risk monitoring. So if a CFO is able to do some of these things, he can actually decrease a lot of revenue leakage in the AR processes.
So given that we've already discussed how AR actually, fixing AR processes can play a vital role in reducing revenue leakages, and I think to some extent also improve productivity of teams. Can you maybe talk about specific areas that automation of AR can help improve?
Simple cost reduction, right? If you have through efficient and automated process, you can ensure that you can do much more with limited resources. You can manage your existing headcount better. If you are on an aggressive growth path, you can still manage with those limited resources. So cost reduction is one vital motivating factor for your CFO. Apart from that, automation also ensures that your processes are more effective as you eliminate the possibilities of manual errors which a person would make while they are working on your transactions, and thus you reduce the cost of rework as well. You don't have to do the same thing again and again because you made a mistake, right? And tools like online credit application, customer portals, etc., they help improve the customer experience, making them come back to you again and again, right? Disputes get resolved faster, monies are recovered earlier, and that ultimately improves your cost of working capital.
So now that we've talked about the different benefits of using automation of AR processes. What I wanted to understand is that there are different stages in which mid-market companies are. It could be in initial development phase, right? Then from there it moves to growth phase. From there it goes to maturity and so on. Right now, for each company going through this cycle, there are some stages in which AR process gets noticed more than the others, especially in the initial years. CFOs and teams, finance leaders, they do not give the due importance to receivables because they are more focused on building business. So do you think that's the right thing to do?
This is a problem which is prevalent even in some of the businesses which have been well established and are there in the market for a few years. It is about the dilemma of a finance versus a sales, right? A sales team would want to sell as much as possible, but from finance perspective, you have to have that control over the money. And that is what typically happens in credit as well, right? I have a very lucrative customer. He can give me a lot of orders in the next year, but he's asking for a 120 days payment term, which is a big hole when it comes to my working capital. All right, my money will be stuck, and huge amount of money, because they will buy a lot from us. So my exposure is pretty high with them. But if I don't do business with them, I'm losing a lot of opportunity, right? I'm losing a lot of potential revenue. So that is why you have a lot of scientific model to assess the credit worthiness of a particular customer. If you know that this customer has a very good credit rating and some of the third party credit reports validates it, you understand what your business appetite is in terms of giving the credit exposure. You will have to scientifically come up with a number saying that, okay, yes, this is an important customer, but the maximum amount of risk that I can take is to an X dollar amount, right? After that, I will start doing my collection and, try and engage with the customer to get as much money as possible. Or I will have to be very upfront and tell the customer, I will not process your future orders unless and until you free up some amount and get those amount to me. So you have to take that conscious call as a company. It depends upon how sales and finance are aligned and what is the risk appetite of the company.
Right. So from very personal experience, the team that we had at that point was, there was a CFO, there was a CEO, there was a CTO, and there was a chief operations officer, right? And I was kind of working with all of them. And I think none of us really had the visibility of, maybe even considering that, hey, this is a credit limit that they've crossed and we should be not, letting them use the subscription anymore. Right?
Absolutely.
It got to it because we did not really think about it. And that's because we did not have access to a tool like Radius One.
Correct. And that is why, our Radius One solution, which is focused at the mid-market segment, brings those features to you where you can do those simple things, rule-based processes pretty easily. We can integrate with any of the systems, and we can resolve some of those problems. So what the team needs to really focus on are those core critical activities, and not think about whether have I sent the reminder to the customer or not. Have I missed something? Have I incorrectly evaluated a customer? Have I posted the account? Have I posted the cash correctly into my accounts? And am I managing my relationship right? So if you have the right tool like a Radius One, you are able to balance that out. You can balance your sales, your customer relationship, as well as your finance.
Right, absolutely. And I think that is the reason why mid-market businesses need to be aware of what problems are really, and look out for these revenue leakages and ensure that it doesn't matter and it doesn't impact their business. Thank you so much for taking time and answering these questions. I'm sure the listeners are also going to benefit a bunch from it. So thanks once again, and I hope to host you back on CFO Circle very soon again.
Thank you for having me, Madhurima.